back to Sloop John Island. I'm This So Gamer. I'm thrilled to have you along for the ride today as we are all set for this isn't downtown, the suburbs, episode 4. Still getting used to this new intro, sorry about that. Take a look at these suburbs. Everybody's out and about and checking their mail and living in townhouses and not mowing their lawns. We've made a lot of progress for sure, and today we are going to be adding a little bit of a little commercial strip right across from the townhouses. So let's get started. We need a gas station. There's no doubt we have to have a gas station. We should probably put in like just 7 gas stations in a row if we want an authentic suburb area. That's kind of how it goes in America in some areas. I'm using this BP gas station. BP stands for British Petroleum. I think that's right. I'm gonna have to get on the Google machine to make sure. Basically, what I'm doing with this is I've just got these little concrete roads coming up, and I'm using this ploppable asphalt. Now you're gonna notice this ploppable asphalt I'm putting down is a very dark asphalt. More on that in just a second. I'm gonna show you how to do away with that darkness. I'm just using this ploppable asphalt, and it covers up, makes this look a little bit more realistic and not just that bright white concrete. It goes right over the concrete. I definitely recommend using the ploppable asphalt, all the different ploppables, ploppable grass, so on and so forth. Had an interesting little conversation about ploppables and surface painter and things. I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, surface painter does not really save right for me, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. Let me know in the comments what I'm doing wrong. But you can see here, I'm using the ploppable asphalt. You can actually change the color, so you see how it just changed, and now it looks more like the natural color of the asphalt on the roads. So that just looks so nice, and you can change that anytime you want. It obviously changed a little bit based on Theme Mixer 2 and changing some of the things that I did when I started the Suburb series. But now everything is right in the world, and it looks pretty good. I think it matches the asphalt. It doesn't necessarily have to match the road asphalt, but it definitely looks better at the entrance and exit of the gas station. We have this little road in behind, so I'm kind of trying to make sense of all of it. That road is kind of like a little access road, and I think what I'm going to do, since there's the little river there, and then on the other side of that, of course, is the interstate. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up making some pathways over there on a later episode maybe. I talked about, I believe, during episode 1 that I do want to have bike paths and a lot of like natural ways to travel, I guess you could say. So bike paths, just walking paths and things like that. I just have not got to that point yet of making that. So we'll see how that will work out, but nevertheless, but you see that little access road there with the trees. Looks really nice, but it just kind of goes along the backside of what is going to become this commercial strip. It'd be a good place for paths. So talking about surface painter, a good friend of mine, Brian, uses surface painter, and it seems to work for him, but for me it seems to just go away. I don't really know why. So what I mean by that is, once I save, I load the save file back, and it kind of resets itself. So I'm not really sure why mine does that. It doesn't do it every time, and it seems to not do it if I save it under a different save file. So like, for example, my save file on here is just called like SuBURBS1. Okay, then I save it under SuBURBS2 after I use surface painter. Then I just go back to SuBURBS1 if I use surface painter again, and repeat. But that doesn't even seem to work anymore, so I don't know. Maybe I just have some conflicts going on or something like that. Have the little Redbox unit here. Does anybody actually use Redbox anymore with all the streaming services? I don't know. I always see people huddled around Redbox like it's some sort of fortune teller machine or something, like on the movie Big. Lots of Tom Hanks references on the Suburb series, obviously. So we're adding some decals, little tire decals and things like that. I also ran into my little save problem. So as you see, the gas station is done, but it looks a tad bit different than what you were just seeing because I had to rebuild the entire thing. I lost the save again. I'm not sure why that's happening, but nevertheless, the gas station looks pretty good. Moving on down the road, we have Wendy's. Dave Thomas's daughter, Wendy. Fine burger establishment here in the States. And what I'm doing here is I'm making just like little road in front of these businesses that we're going to put in. So, you know, one thing that I wanted to do with this commercial strip, I wanted it to look more natural as far as how these things look in my neck of the woods. So just thinking about, you know, you see there's a lot of areas that you see, you know, you turn into a commercial strip and then you immediately go right, and there's a road that's parallel with the main road you're on, and it just kind of runs along, kind of like a little access road to the front of these businesses. So that's the idea behind that. So we have one in front, and then we have a wide one in the back. It's like super wide, where cars could like literally drive, you know, right up against the curb, or they could go any which direction they really wanted to. Here I'm using the node controller. I'm not a node controller expert. I'm still kind of learning it. And I haven't really used it much since it's been upgraded. As a matter of fact, my good friend Brian also kind of told me to hold down the Alt button if you wanted to actually move the nodes. It's different than it used to be. But here you see me just kind of making all sorts of craziness happen. I'm not really going into much detail at this time on these. I'm just trying to get the Sky will do whatever it takes to get a Frosty, apparently. That's just great. So yeah, I kind of decided to just get down the core of all this, the roads, the parking lots, and all that kind of stuff. And I'll just go through and add some details, and you can kind of see the final results at the end of the video. So I hope you're enjoying the format. This show's running a little bit over my target, which is like 15 to 18 minutes. But it's well worth it, and this took a while to do. I didn't record every little part of it. Like I said, I'm not going to show you every little detail that I did. But I'll be more than happy to tell you if you have any questions in the comments about stuff I used and stuff like that. I'd be glad to. You know, a lot of YouTube city skyliners, and I don't watch that many. I still don't watch that many, but a lot of other channels do a very thorough job explaining the actual assets they're using. And I apologize for not being the best at that. I just honestly, I don't have time to, you know, link a lot of this stuff, or well, not really the linking, but I don't really have time to look up who made what, and that's just, I shouldn't be that way. I should really do my research. Maybe I'll start doing more research on these things, but I do know this is the big parking lots that I'm using right here on the on these parking spaces, but I don't really like how that looks necessarily. I think I'm going to just change that to a regular parking lot road, and then we can just kind of change it up. That's not much parking for a Walgreens, and there's a bunch of grass out there in front that's completely not being used, so we'll widen that just like so. We can actually use the regular parking instead of the big parking lot road. When you're doing this kind of stuff, you're going to be doing a lot of trial and error. You're getting nodes, lots of nodes, really compacted and bunched up, which is an absolute recipe for disaster. So one thing I will give you a recommendation on, as we have a car going the wrong direction. We don't want to have cars going that direction. Let's turn off the everything except trucks. We want trucks to go around there only, to that dock, not cars. But anyway, the recommendation I would make is, if you feel like you've got too many nodes, just delete them and redo the road. Don't overnote it. Okay, don't overnote it. Don't overload it with nodes. Is what I'm trying to say. Because when they start getting bunched up, even with node controller and a lot of the great mods and tools you can use out there, when they start getting bunched up, you just have a lot of issues. So this part of it was probably one of the more difficult things. I don't know why this ended up being the most difficult setup I've ever done for a fast food restaurant here. It took me forever to figure out the placement of this McDonald's. And then on top of that, once I kind of had it all figured out, wouldn't you know it, I went to save and we got jammed on packaging and I just started going crazy and I just dropped the F. I had to cut out that last portion. I don't think that's appropriate for kids. The McDonald's turned out okay, and you'll see it here in a second. But I had to redo that one because, again, I had a random lockup. So I'm doing some research, trying to figure out why exactly I'm having these situations happen. I don't know if anybody out there has had an increase in some crashing on their city skylines lately. I haven't downloaded anything new. As a matter of fact, I cleaned out a lot of assets. I used the loading screen mod. The loading screen mod has a really neat tool if you haven't ever used it before. It will save a file to your folder, to your app data folder for City Skylines. And this file has on it everything in the loading screen mod. As you see at the beginning of the loading, everything on there that has to do with your assets that are not loading, not being used, things like that. And not only is it a list, it's an interactive list, so it'll take you straight to Steam where you can unsubscribe to these assets you're not using. And there was assets on there that I'm pretty sure that I downloaded when I first started playing the game. I mean, apparently at some point I really wanted to make a gigantic homeless neighborhood because I downloaded every single type of storage unit converted into a house. Then I guess I wanted to do some futuristic builds. There's a lot of futuristic builds, futuristic assets on the workshop because I had tons of buildings that made absolutely no sense to ever be on this map. So I just got rid of all that and cleared up. I cleared up almost 400 assets. I was at 7,900 total assets. Yeah, that's too many. So now I'm down to like 7,400 or something like that. So I cleared up a lot of those, and I don't know if it made too big of a difference right off the bat, but nevertheless, they're gone. Clears up some stuff. I'm adding these little parking spots along here on the side. These are going to be for like trucks along the sidewalk. Not for like semi trucks, but like trucks with trailers. So I'm going to go ahead and add these props in. Here's a little moving van. I have a little back trailer hitch. And we'll just kind of adjust that over like so. They're all floating. There we go. That one's not floating. Is it floating? No, that one's not floating. Yeah, so that's what those are kind of for. We're just going to put some little prop hedges along the side of this beautiful sleep inn. If there's any question if this was a hotel or not, the sleep inn title definitely gives it away. We're just going to add some decals here along the side. There you see the big parking lot roads. Using the big parking lot roads, they do a little bit of funky stuff. So you might have noticed a second ago, I actually was adding prop curbs just to kind of fill in the gap there along the bottom of this road. You've got the filler, you've got the border, and you've got the drive. Okay, those are the three network um, roads that are part of the big parking lot. So you have to kind of play around with them. And remember, always go counterclockwise. I think that's in the workshop description. And they are right on that one. That does make a difference as far as how these roads will react. The good thing about these are they kind of work like, I guess a good way to look at it, they kind of work like a paintbrush. So yes, they are roads, cars will drive on them and stuff like that. But using like the clipping remover, you can just add asphalt to it, and it makes it allows you to do some unique little setups. It's just that you have a lot of little nooks and crannies and little corners of the curbs that you have to deal with that kind of look funny at times. But as long as you can have the patience to kind of add some details to it, it works out just fine. So we've got some little details here, some trees here in the front using the mulch stack and the mulch decal. Now we're going to put a little sleep in sign out here at the front. Yeah, I don't like that. Well, why don't we just make it concrete, and then we can actually just put the sign in a curb. I think that looks a lot better that way. Yeah, we'll do that. I use curbs a lot, but I like curbs. I like the way they look. So, sue me. And then we have one more sleep in. This is a larger sleep in sign. I love these tall signs. I think it looks good. Right along the interstate. High visibility to these tall signs, which I did use on the fast food restaurants, which you're about to see in the ending of this program. And hey, I even have a billboard. 9 miles ahead, although it's probably about 5 miles. Well, we are all done, and I think that this little commercial district turned out really well. I love the McDonald's. As you can see, I had to make a little curb to make that drive-through actually work. So it took a long time to make, but I really like the way that it turned out. And, you know, this is a small strip of businesses, but it's kind of like your stereotypical right across the street from the suburb type setup. And I think that it looks rather nice. Now, this is not going to be the main commercial district. That's actually going to be on the other side of the interstate. But this is an area that, you know, people need. They need McDonald's, okay? They need a hotel. They need gas. So this is a commercial district that is well needed. And it's high visibility from the interstate. Gets people to get off the interstate and explore the suburbs. And I hope you have enjoyed exploring the suburbs today. On the next show, we're going to try to focus on a lot of the area closer to the ocean. And we'll see you then. I'm This So Gamer. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit that like button. I really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.